Wow. What an incredibly uncomfortable episode of Orb. Orb episode 14. Ugh, not just the send-off, but two two interrogation scenes in the same episode, watching teeth literally get yanked out. Ugh, like everything about this. And of course, it's always like the aspect of a female person being tortured is obviously going to be more unsettling than a male person. Like as a male, there's just something internal that clicks like, ugh, this makes it even worse. Like even the previous female being tortured, it's unsettling. But man, what an episode. Unfortunate send-off of Oaky and Vini. I was ready for it. I was preparing myself. I'm like, this is it. They're done. I don't see any way for them to make it through this. I did have hope that they were going to at least put Vini in front of the church so that he can present his stuff. But I think the reason why they didn't is because they're already doomed to die. The only reason that Raphael was put before the church is because he had the chance to kind of recant. He had the ability to kind of say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done this, I admit to it, and I'm going to turn away from that. Whereas with Vini and Oaky, no, they're just done. This is it. There's no walking away from it. Which, yes, does kind of present the why would you give up your information kind of thing, which they get into, but ugh, what an episode. I knew the moment I seen Antoni, I'm like, I know where this is going. There's no doubt in my mind what direction this is going to go in. He's literally using this to take down Novak. He's using this guy's daughter. He's going to torture and kill this guy's daughter just to get power. That is absolutely cutthroat. We're in the realms of majorly cutthroat at this point if we're going to go that far. Like this guy is literally going to sell out this girl and go after her, I'm assuming, just to get Novak. That's all he cares about, is to take down his father. He wants to take that position. Novak, this is his daughter. Novak's tied to my father. I want to get rid of him and get that power. I'm going to strangle this dude. But the moment I see him show up, I'm like, he's going to torture her. He's going to have him torture her. He doesn't care. All he cares about is doing this. Ugh. And he knows the system. This guy knows the system. He knows that all he has to do is say, go start torturing her, and no matter what she says, in the end, she's guilty. Once the torturing starts, they have suspected her. And that is kind of one of the aspects of, like, I was kind of hoping that one of them would say, hold on, go find Novak. But again, this is their boss. They have to listen to it. Like you said, this is our orders. We have to do it. There's no going against this. Like, this guy's probably dead for getting Yolanta out of there. No doubt. He might be able to recant, but I think he's pretty much dead at that point. And yeah, this other person's kind of stuck with the whole situation, but they have no recourse. They can't say anything. They can't yell out Novak, hey, they're using your daughter for the sake. They're good as dead there too. Like they'll say that she bewitched them as a witch. Like they know the system. And Tony knows the system. The moment she's in that room, she's guilty. And even if she doesn't confess, even if she has nothing to confess, they will just say that she's possessed, and then they'll burn her at the stake anyways. If she doesn't say anything, if she doesn't recant, she's burned. He knows that, and he's using this because now he has a hook in there. He's got it figured out. The moment he sees Yolanta walk by there, I got him. Now, the question mark I have is really around Novak, because if anybody that's been watching my videos for this series knows that I'm most fascinated by Novak. The question is, at this point, what does Novak do? I always assumed the moment that Yolanta showed up, Novak was going to have a point in his story where he's going to go against the church, and it's probably going to be for his daughter. This episode kind of posed a question for me. I kind of wonder at this point, because how did they know about Yolanta? Novak told them. Novak told them, his trainees, that his daughter had dinner with those two. They're there because of Novak. Now, there's two sides of me that I believe in here. One side is that Novak is so deep entrenched in this whole thing, even though he's now questioning it. He's always been questioning it. He's so deep entrenched in this thing that he'll sell out his own daughter for the sake of the church and what his orders are. He's that desensitized to everything. Now, we did see when he was talking to his daughter the first time, he looked like he was constantly like, not liking this, not liking where she's going. Like I said in this episode, she's trying to become a scholar. It's proof that she is possessed, that there's a devil speaking in her ears because she wants to become a scholar. That's all it takes. And that's why he wanted to stop her. Don't do that. Don't go too far out of the bounds that you're supposed to be in. He wanted to stop her at that point because she wanted to become a scholar. This episode, they brought it up again. She's trying to become a scholar. She's obviously possessed. She's got something. She's probably the ringleader of it all. I think there is a side that he could be wanting to, yes, put her daughter before them. And there's a good chance that he may have thought because those guys are soft on people, they're still learning, they might let her off the hook. He might have possibly chosen to send them purposely in order for them to clear her. But I do see there's sort of a opposite to this in the idea that he has been keeping a secret from Yolenta. Why would he send his trainees to go talk to her about it, inquisiting, to do an inquisition or whatever, to see if she's a heretic, if that is going to bring the light of what he does? There's a possibility that he was just talking about how he found these two individuals through going to see Yolenta, and thus they heard him talk about that, and they went to check themselves. I don't know. I'm kind of questioning at this point, but I did kind of see that with these two individuals going after Yolenta, and one of them being very kind of seeing against the church. He feels the weight of what he's doing. He doesn't like it. He's questioning the church and what they do, the faith and all that kind of stuff. And he ends up being the one that saves Yolenta. I wondered if there would be a chance that possibly he saves Yolenta while Novak goes after her. He ends up being the Inquisitor that we see that I was expecting Novak to turn into, which is a turncoat because of what they do. I don't know. Finally seeing something affected by what you're doing rather than always seeing it as emotionless and going into these things with, well, they're possessed by devils. This is not a normal. That's not my daughter. My daughter would never do that. These are bad people. Oh, now it's my daughter. Now what do I do? I don't know. I still kind of see that it's going to go the route of, I think that guy's dead that saved Yolenta, and or at least imprisoned unless he can recant or whatever. But I think it is going to turn into, at this point, this guy, the bishop's son, going after Yolenta for the sake of taking down Novak, him getting word about what they're doing, or at least going after Yolenta. I kind of hope at the end there, maybe I'll do it in the next episode. I was hoping the guy would tell Yolenta, they're after your father, and so they're having us do this just for the sake of taking down your father. You need to get out of here. Because I'm assuming that Yolenta is probably going to go see her father and say, this is what's happening. But at this point, she might be scared to go see her father. I'm thinking at this point, she might actually be terrified to go see her father. She's going to have that conflict of, do I trust my father that he'll protect me? Or now knowing that he's a very tough man, and I see how hardworking he is, that he might be set on the idea of turning me in if I go see him. I don't know. We'll see. I'm very curious how. I think Novak's gonna be ticked. If I don't have, after that teeth pull out, if I don't have like a scene in a few episodes where Novak gets a hold of that guy and takes him down, because the question is, can Novak, knowing that they were trying to sell out his daughter, we know what his daughter was doing wrong. Let's be truthful here, but just keep it on the basis that right now, what these individuals, these Yolenta, these Inquisitors, and Novak know right now is that this bishop's son is turning in Yolenta for the sake of taking down Novak to take down the bishop. Key word there. He wants to take down the bishop. Knowing that, can Novak basically take down this guy in a sense for the church? He's basically stopping somebody from overthrowing the church. It could be seen as just. He could technically take him down as that he's been possessed and that he's trying to disrupt the church. That's what they were saying behind the door. We're going to take it over. We're going to correct the path, which is basically saying the current path, which is just and is holy, is wrong. And they're trying to disrupt it. I think that's what the rest is going to go. I think Novak is, I wonder if Novak will end up going in and taking down this guy, taking this guy down, and in a sense, basically save his daughter. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, the whole scene with them interrogating Yolenta, it was so crazy because with Oaky, they were cutting away. With the Jawbreaker, they were cutting away. They wouldn't show it. But then they go to Yolenta and literally we get, now it's an action still, but still it's like we see it yank and blood spurting out. And then they go to grab another one. It's like the fingernail thing. It's so funny how certain things just hurt so much more. The Jawbreaker, that hurts. Like my jaw is hurting just hearing it and knowing what's happening. But with like the teeth pulling, it's like fingernails. Like you have somebody come by and stab somebody in the hand with a knife. It's nowhere near as painful and inducing to your brain and when you're watching it than watching somebody literally take and rip off fingernails. It's so weird how things are so much more sensitive in your brain to see happen. But yeah, the teeth pulling. Even more so the Jawbreaker. Ugh. But anyways, that's pretty much everything around them. I do find it interesting. I do want to note, because I do make outlines where I put all the characters' faces and the names so that I don't get names wrong or whatever, because it happens all the time. People get mad at me. I don't think there's a name said for the 2 new Inquisitors. I don't think I've ever seen them named. I usually, in my other notes outline, I usually note names because I need to talk about them. Like Antony, they said his name. So I know his name's Antony. And they mentioned it the first time they showed him. I don't think they've ever mentioned these other 2 guys' name, which does get me concerned that they're not going to be key players in the story, is the fact that they've not even named them yet. Typically, if they're important, they're going to name them. We'll see, though. But good on that guy for saving Yolenta. Props to that dude. I like this guy. I hope he sticks around because he's a cool dude. He saved Novak's daughter. If anything, I hope Novak goes back and saves him because he saved his daughter. But either way, we'll see. But that's that whole segment there. We'll see where that goes. But that's just turned into a whole political thing. Like I said, the moment that Antony showed up, I'm like, this is going to turn political. This is going to turn to a massively political thing because I know this guy doesn't like Novak, because he knows that Novak is close to the bishop. And here it is. Here's his method to take him down. But we'll see where that goes. But yeah, of course, massive part of this episode is obviously the conclusion of Badini and Oxy's story, which sucks. It really does suck. Again, I was pretty much 100% for quite a while now that Oxy was going to go down. I was curious if Badini was going to get cleared. It does look like, based on this episode and how it kind of played out, yeah, Badini was done too. I didn't really get a sense of that, if I remember correctly, from the previous episode that he was 100% done. I thought there was a chance that he could possibly recant. Nope. They're both dead. Which did technically bring up the question mark of why would you give it the information? It was to stop the pain. Yeah, Jawbreaker and Oxy really sucks watching it. Badini struggling the entire time. Interesting, it wasn't till, and I like how Badini tried to stop the whole thing. He literally said, this is personal. You're making this personal. You know full well I'm telling you there's no info. Oh, I know what you're doing. You're making it personal. You're doing this because you want revenge because we approached your daughter. I was like, oh, wow. Could this be how they get out of it? That's true. He could technically use that. And even they had the guy in the room was like, is this true? Like the guy was actually questioning it for a minute. And then, of course, Novak's, I think, probably been through that before. He's like, yeah, this isn't small talk. We're not doing this. Moving on. He didn't even flinch for a second. Badini wasn't going to overplay him. But yeah, brings out the knife and goes to the eyes. Interesting here that this is the moment that breaks Badini. Of all the stuff that happened so far, the beating with the bat, the Jawbreaker, it wasn't until the knife to the eye. And that's where I think right there it basically has Badini personalize it. Because Oxy, like him, was seeking out something when he got his eye burned. He's like, no matter what it is, I have to see this. And what did it get him? It burned his eye. He wanted so badly to see something, and then he lost that eye from seeing that thing. And here, Oxy treasures his eyes now. It is his hope. He was able to see Venus, and that's what inspired him and gave him that feeling of discovery that he once did before. And he's about to lose it. And it's interesting that that's the thing that makes him break, even though full knowing after this, they're dead. So he's breaking because Oxy's going to lose his eye for seeing something. And here, he wants to prevent him from losing those eyes. It's very odd. And I think that is sort of a symbolic thing. And I probably see it more of a fact that he just doesn't care at this point. He says later on, you don't realize how painful it was. And I almost kind of see that in 2 different ways. And I forgot to check it in the manga, see how it was worded there. But I kind of interpret it both ways. One, that it's painful to watch you go through that, and for you to lose your eye, just like I did. I went through that. It's personal to me. I feel that same feel. Or is it the other side of it's just you don't realize how painful it was for me to give it the information? Which I don't think that's true because, again, he doesn't care about this information. This is the predecessor's information, not his stuff, which he's already sent off. And that's interesting right there, too, is that feeling of the hope they have at the very end that's going to be given off. But I do like how, in the end, because he didn't burn it is something that is pleasing for Oxy to hear because, obviously, again, he was trying to get Badini to not destroy that stuff because it was somebody else's work. And he felt, even for Badini stuff, he felt the necessity that it needs to be passed on to somebody else. Somebody else should see it. Somebody else should scrutinize it. Otherwise, it's faith. All that stuff is super cool. That whole scene after the torture was just super cool. Oxy being so understanding. despite the fact of getting his jaw broken and everything. That must have been quite a while later on because he was stitched up. It still looked bad, and it was probably not treated very well. But he was already to the point where he was able to talk. So I'm assuming this has been a while. I mean, they were going to their death, which they probably had to schedule and everything like that. But either way, was a cool little scene with them afterwards. And again, going to the hanging, rough. Again, it was got a solidification that it's going to happen. There was a brief side of me that almost wanted like that whole like convenience thing where it just how happens that day the strings were super weak and they broke. They were weathered and they survived and they ran away or some stupid crap. Or, oh, there's actually somebody from Bodini's side that knew this was coming and they come in there and knock out the bad guy and cut the ropes or something like that. But Novak's there. It's not like it was going to be very easy to free them. Either way, it went with the ground reality, Andrew. This is a very brutal and very grounded story. There's going to be no Hollywood save moment at the very end there. They're going to die. But it leaves it all to a very hopeful note in the end. I love how Oaky kind of puts it in the idea that even though Bodini sees the gateway to hell, Bodini's like, no, I see the heavens. It's a gateway to heavens. We're going to the heavens. Again, what Oaky believed in the end, and I think it's Bodini helped him see that, is that what they were doing was good. What they were doing is showing they're floating through the heavens. That they're not down here and doing something wrong, that they were seeking out the heavens. And in the end, they did nothing wrong. This isn't like what the church believes to keep order. It is what they believe, and what they believe that they were doing good. That they are going to see these heavens. They're going to see its beauty. And in the end, yes, again, it looks beautiful. It was a nice, hopeful end, but still sucks. It still really badly sucks in the end. Anything I missed? It was a very, like I said, very painful episode to get through, and super intrigued where it's going to go from here. It seems like Yolenta is taking the baton. It didn't specify where his information was going. He said that he did send his information out, which was cool to find out that it wasn't Bodini's write-up. It was Oaky. And I think it was back when Oaky first said that he was going to be writing it. I said in that episode impression, I almost felt like there's a good chance that Oaky would be the one that passed the baton this time, and it would be his diary. And that makes sense. What Bodini said makes sense. This idea of all you're doing is inspiring. It doesn't matter what's in the information. It's just that you're showing them what you're doing. And so whatever Oaky wrote, it being simple would be easier for somebody to pick up, especially after Bodini just established that this previous person, Raphael, was 12 years old, that it's better that they're younger. He feels like if it was Raphael, this 12-year-old, that's proof that the Earth is going to start moving. There's nothing stopping it. That is the perfect person to be doing it. It shows somebody that is not afraid to make the Earth move. Somebody that's not afraid of the system itself. Everybody else, all of us that are old, we're so entrenched in the system, we're afraid of the system. A young kid is not. They're going to be terrified. Raphael was terrified. He was scared in the end. But he's more willing to push against that system, whereas everybody else is comfortable. They have families, they have established lives, they don't want to let down their pupils and their coworkers and their families and all this kind of stuff. These children, they're better at this stuff. They're going to be a lot better at this stuff. They're going to be more passionate about this stuff. Raphael was way more passionate. Like in pointing out the idea of when they were pointing out this 12-year-old, he's like, he was much more stronger. He basically, Novak said, that boy was stronger than you. You're willing to talk. That's great. I like that. That boy, nah, he was stronger. He actually dared to move it. He was different. But no, cool that it's Oaky's writing, which technically does mean that he must have done multiple write-ups of his same diary, because he did burn that one unless he put it out afterward. No, because they were standing there for a while. I'm assuming that Oaky wrote a couple of them and that was the final draft, because yes, we did see a couple scenes where Bodini was reading his book. So, but yeah, I'll be curious who he sent the book to. I don't think it's going to be Yolenta again, because I think that would be in like easy lose. But again, he might have sent it out. He sent it out after Novak was coming after them, and he might have sent it to Yolenta purely for the sake of that she can get it away. But again, what I said before was that I think Novak would have immediately go check Yolenta, and whatever he sent Yolenta is going to get caught immediately. I don't know. We'll see. It might just get into some new characters, and we'll see where it goes from there. But either way, really excited to see episode 15. 14 was painful. I need some hope. I need some reestablished hope. Let's get some new characters in here, some new faces, and let's bring some hope back in here because I'm depressed. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'm just gonna go Yolenta. She's gonna be the main character now, and we'll just be following her for a while. And hopefully she never gets caught because I don't want to see another Yolenta getting tortured scene. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below. Until next time, y'all take care.